So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how I make my canvases from scratch. Been getting a lot of requests lately on making a video like this. So here you guys are, you ask, you shall receive. All right, so for those that are not familiar with me or my channel, my name is Brittany. I am a multidisciplinary artist and I make my own canvases from scratch. And not only do I make my own canvases, I make canvases for other artists. So if you're an artist who needs a very large custom sized canvas, I'm your girl. Hit me up on my website. I am currently taking commissions for custom made canvases. That being said, let's get straight to the video. So hello guys, we are in the studio here. I'm setting up, making sure that everything is organized. To the right here is my miter saw. Huge investment I've ever made, best investment actually, because this is literally the pinnacle on what I do. I am now taking out my sander and I do have my 8-foot long piece of wood. The reason why I am using a sander is to smooth out the wood before using it, because there's numerous times, well, trial and error actually, in the very beginning, I didn't realize that wood wasn't always perfect. So I made sure that I got the straightest piece of wood, and also by sanding I am straying away from splits, and splits are those like really like loose pieces of wood that can give you splinters. So I really make sure that I take the time to sand my wood before using it. So this usually takes me about like 15 to 20 minutes. Well, for this piece in particular, it took me only like 15 minutes because it is a 22 by 22, which is really much easier for me. My client had wanted this small piece, so usually for like, if I do get an order for like a 30 by 30, sometimes it may take longer than 15 minutes, but all in all, it's still like such an easy process. So now we are going to get ready and start cutting some wood. Okay, first things first, safety first. Goggles. I know I look crazy, but this is the only way that protects me from like getting wood like shot at me or something. I mean, that's never happened, but you just never know. So yeah, I always like to wear goggles and take extra precaution to make sure that I am working properly. So what I am doing now is I'm hooking up my miter saw, and usually before even doing anything, I make sure that my miter tools are plugged in before I use it. If I am not using my tools, I unplug them just for safety reasons. We're jumping on to the measuring part of it all. So sometimes this can be tricky, sometimes this could be easy as hell. So this one in particular, since my client only wanted a 22 by 22, it was easier for me to just come up with the numbers. So I usually like to cut from a 45 degree angle cut, and I'm going to show you guys really quickly how I go about that. So right now I'm just taking some measurements in case, because it is 8 feet long, so I want to make sure that the wood that I do have equals up to those 4 pieces that I do have to cut. So now what I mentioned previously is making sure that the miter saw is at a 45 degree angle cut. And I like this because it gives off that really nice firm frame. And I'm going to show you guys later in the video what that is. So as usual, I make sure that the miter saw is off because I like to lay it onto the miter saw just to make sure that everything is in correct order. But literally, I mean, if you are going to get a miter saw, quick disclaimer, please read the instructions before using it, because I'm telling you guys, like, do your research before doing anything. So right now we are on 45 degrees, which is really good. So this here is a knob, and this knob here is to tighten up the wood or whatever you decide to cut and have it stay in place, which is very important. In the beginning of making canvases, I didn't know how important this was, so this had to be tightened, like really tight, you guys. And what made it harder was because, like, I mean, this miter saw, I haven't used it in a while, so it's been sitting on my balcony for like maybe a couple months, so yeah, it's hard to like twist it, but yeah, everything is tightened, and here I am. Now I started cutting my one piece of wood, and this only took me about a few seconds, and this is the overall look of what a 45 degree angle cut looks. And that is very important when making frames, because I typically like to do it. I would do a 0 degree, but I really like that frame look, especially when I am creating canvases for clients. So right now I am measuring the second piece of wood and cutting. So really pretty much it's rinse and repeat. So as I am cutting the wood, this is a 22 by 22, so I just make sure that all the pieces are the same size. So this is a quick example of what the wood looks like. So they're both cut evenly, which is literally important for me. And in terms of like making canvases for myself, I like to also cut in a 45-degree angle, only because it just makes the frame look so much better, in my opinion, and I just like the overall look. So yeah, I prefer cutting from this angle at all costs. And sometimes, like if I were to do something like a 0-degree angle cut, I mean, it's really rare, but I really do like the 45-degree angle. So what I love about this miter saw is that it is so easy to use. And of course, like in the beginning stages, I had no idea how the hell to use this thing. So I had to do like a lot of research and really just like look at the manual and just make sure I knew what the hell I was doing, okay? Because this thing is sharp as hell. So you don't want to end up cutting yourself. You want to end up like, you know, things flying everywhere, and God, it would just be a disaster. So I made sure that I did a lot of research before I even like bought this thing. So yeah, right now I am measuring the wood. So right now I believe on my 4th piece. So this is the very last piece of wood that I'll be cutting, and as you guys can see here, that is the blade. Sometimes this blade does get worn out, which I did have to replace once, but what I love about this is that you don't have to replace it frequently. So I also like, before cutting wood, I also like to make sure that there is a laser light on this miter saw, which means that I can see where I'm cutting. So I usually go by where that red light is, and boom, that's it. That's literally all that it does. So I don't have any volume on this video, but miter saws are pretty loud. So I just wanted to mention that just in case you guys are curious. And as soon as you are done with your miter saw, make sure you unplug it. Please, always unplug your materials after using them, because, you know, let's say someone or something may hit a switch and boom, it starts to, you know, work, it'll start to operate, you're screwed. So yeah, make sure that everything is unplugged and you're safe. And these are the 4 pieces of wood that I just cut up. They're perfect. And what I'm going to do now, which I know I did say I did earlier, but I'm going to start sanding them again, because I do feel a little roughness in them. Usually when I am making custom orders, I take extra precaution on making sure that the edges are beveled and that there are no splits, because it would suck if like I were to, you know, give a order or send an order off and, you know, there's like wood poking out of it. So like I really make sure that I take the time to like sand it as smooth as possible. And beveling is a process to where you bevel the edges, so that way when I do stretch the canvas to the bars, the inner sector of the canvas doesn't cut through the canvas. So I usually just round those off. I don't have a beveler, but I do use a sander to like kind of like make those corners rounder, which does the job perfectly. And I do have different grits within the sander, so it makes it easier for the wood to get like much smoother. So yeah, I've literally like been doing this for a while to know that, and it took a while for me to know what that meant, because of course with trial and error. I was tired, y'all, by the way. I was really tired. But yeah, it took a while for me to really understand like the basics to doing this. So yeah, a lot of trial and error, you guys. So right now I am making sure that I'm putting all the pieces together. It's like a puzzle, which is really fun. I like puzzles. So this is really therapeutic for me. And yeah, I make sure that all the corners are even and that they're straight. And sometimes, I mean, rarely they're not uneven, but if they are uneven, then I would have to like do it again. So yeah, that actually did happen like the beginning stages of me creating canvases. So yeah, that was a nightmare. But right now I am using a stapler. Since it is smaller, I didn't have to use glue. Usually I would use wood glue, but that's for really large scale canvases. So this stapler does the job. So I usually just do like 3 per corner. And you guys see why I love cutting with a 45-degree angle, because look at the corners. Okay, this is like the perfect frame. If it was square, it would just look so just wonky and not just out of place. So this just gives me a peace of mind, and it also just looks better, especially when like you're presenting your work. So yeah, so usually with this stapler, I make sure that I do all four. So I'm not sure if you guys can see, but it's like really wobbly. So watch what happens when I staple all four corners. So, which is really amazing to me, because when I first started, I was like, wait a damn minute, you mean this entire time I could have been doing this? And sometimes if you guys do look at like the Michaels or any art store canvases, like the really small ones, they are stapled as well. So really look at that, they do have them stapled, and I didn't know that up until I just did some observation and was like, oh shit, okay, I could do this. So yeah, we are done, and it's not wobbly, it's very sturdy, and everything looks perfect, everything's beveled, everything is straightened out and ready to go. So right now we are going to add that drop cloth, honey. And for the drop cloth, I usually get this from a hardware store. It don't even matter where it's from. I mean, I usually get my bulks from like Home Depot or Lowe's, because they're like way cheaper. I think they're like $20. I haven't gotten in a while because like I said, I buy bulk, so I don't have to buy them often. But I do realize that they do change in prices. But I don't think it's over like $20 for like 9 feet of drop off. So yeah, I usually just buy a bulk, and it lasts for literally a year. I've had like canvases in my closet for a year now, and they're still up and running. So this process here is very therapeutic for me as well, because I love hearing the staples just like staple into the wood, and I know that when I am done, it's gonna look great, which I am so excited to show you guys in a second, or actually a few seconds. Wait, no, a few minutes. So yeah, this all in all took me, I would say, like 30 minutes to 40 minutes to create this entire canvas. But in terms of time frame, it takes me about, let's say I'm doing like a 35 or 35 or a 45 or 45. It'll probably take me like 2-3 hours to do, only because it is bigger, they're larger, and I do have to work with more wood, like a different type of wood, because I realize that over time that whenever I am working with, let's say, hardwood, the smaller canvases do well. But this is the reveal. Quick interruption, sorry guys. This is voiceovers. Just bear with me, I'm trying to get good on voiceovers, but this is the final result of the canvas, you guys. Look at that. Okay, look at this beauty here. It's a masterpiece. I'm really happy at the results, and I'm just so happy that I was able to just start doing this, because not only am I making it for myself, but I'm also saving other artists time and lives, literally insanity, of just making canvases. So this is literally what I love to do, other than like creating art and illustrations, and yeah, so I love it. So yeah guys, I know this was a quick video, but I really wanted to show you guys and just share with you all how I go about making my canvases. So if you'd like to see more, if you guys have any other suggestions on what type of videos I should post regarding to canvas making, let me know. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in my